But he's a disappointing figure, isn't he, Richard Hammond, I think? He disappoints me, because, you know, you sort of get the sense that he's probably all right, really, but he's in with a bad crowd, you know? And you know what? I should have seen this coming years ago, because I was actually at school with Richard Hammond. I was at a school called Solihull School in Solihull, in the Midlands, in Birmingham. Richard Hammond was there. If you don't believe me, you can look it up on the Wikipedia. And there's a list there of all the other Z-grade celebrities that went to Solihull School. I'm on it. Richard Hammond's on it. He was about 5 years below me. And in the year above me at Solihull School, in Solihull, in the early 1980s, was the original lineup of Napalm Death. And I actually used to go orienteering with Napalm Death. I did, Glasgow. 4 Sundays a term. I would go voluntarily to the Brecon Beacons to go orienteering with the original lineup of Napalm Death. But it wasn't square, going to the theatre and all liking Top Gear orienteering like you would do. It was first wave proto-speed metal, anarcho-punk orienteering. We had maps, but all the boundaries were crossed out. Come on, it's better than you. It's a better joke. That is the second best joke in the show. Come on, follow their lead. Follow them. And I actually saw the original lineup of Napalm Death do about their 3rd ever gig, and it was in 1982, and they performed in front of a banner that said "Punk is a rotting corpse" at Dorridge Village Scout Hut. But they were nice lads, Napalm Death, the old Nick Napalm, he was a singer. That wasn't his real name, ladies and gentlemen. His real name was Ian Napalm. Are you happy now? Is that what you want? That's not what they want. But he was a good lad. Richard Hammond was 5 years below me. Despite that, I did know him for a term. And I was very good friends with him for a term. What happened was, one morning, I went into this old toilet, like a pre-war toilet block. No one really used it apart from for smoking and stuff. And there was this young lad in there, about 11 years old, and there were 3 15-year-olds all gathered round him and sort of knuckling him on the head and kicking him and stuff. And I went over, and because I was in the year above, they dispersed. And I said to this little boy, "What's your name?" And he said, "Richard Hammond." And I said to him, "Are you all right?" And he said, "Not really." And he looked like he'd been knocked about a bit. And I said to him, "Does this happen to you a lot?" And he said, "Pretty much every day." So I said to him, "Look, I'm the library monitor, right? And you can come in the library." Hey, now, I did this show 30 times in Edinburgh in the summer. And in Edinburgh, the library is not the funny part of this show. Okay? I'm not having a go, I'm just saying. They don't... Way over there, they don't regard the printed word with such... I don't mind what you laugh at, right? I'm happy for anything. But the thing is, this story's about 5 minutes long, and it takes place in a library, and there's people walking out there. There's people going, everyone's got a cut-off point with taste issues, you know. The Glasgow crowd, I didn't expect to come out and hear about the books and words. It was disgusting. It doesn't matter, right? I'm fine, but it's just, don't get bogged down laughing at the library in this bit, because the other, not what it's about. Okay, so it doesn't matter. So I was a library monitor, and was that over here? This is the part I've inspected. Oh, at 2. Yes, that was a reference to Shakespeare. I don't know if you see that. It's about betrayal. So, anyway, I said to Richard Hammond he could come in the library any time, and they wouldn't come and find him there. He came the next day, and he was really nice. He helped me file loads of books away, and then he just got on with some little drawings, little funny animals and stuff. And he did. That's what he was really good at. And then he came back the next day. He came back pretty much every day for the whole of the rest of the term, apart from when he had sport or army cadets he was in. And he was really nice. And, you know, the first couple of weeks he did what any 11-year-old boy left alone in a library would do. He used to get down all books about the human body and art and look for nude women in them, you know. And in the end I said to him, look, Richard, you're here every day. You may as well try and read something good. And I tried to get him to read some of the sort of books I was reading at the time, you know, like Camus and Sartre and Kafka and things like that. And he read some of them, and we'd talk about them and his family and growing up and school and stuff. And now, I was from a single-parent family. I didn't have brothers or sisters, and at the risk of sounding mawkish, I think that the 2 months that I talked to Richard Hammond every day were the closest I came to like a sibling relationship, really, in my teens, and I was very grateful to him for the trust, you know. Now, the last time I saw him in the library was about a week before the end of term. I was by these glass double doors that went out into the corridor. He was filing some of the books away, and he suddenly went, and he pointed out in the corridor, and these 3 kids that had been beating him up were coming. Now, I didn't have a key to the door, so I said to Richard Hammond, quick, chuck us the 2 biggest books on that trolley. And he did. The first one was a dictionary. The second one was a Penguin paperback edition of Ulysses by James Joyce. And I slid those in the handles, and I made like a bolt, and these kids couldn't get in. They went away. And I think it's ironic, given that Richard Hammond's now like a kind of publicly funded cheerleader for mass ignorance, that he was saved by James Joyce. Now, that was the last time I saw him in the library. He didn't come back. I don't know why. But the last time I saw him to speak to was about a week later. I went back to that same toilet. He was there, as were those 3 kids, but this time they weren't beating him up. They were all sharing cigarettes, and they were looking at a Rustler, which was like a porn mag from them with a little record on it. And I said to him, hello, Richard, and he blanked me. And I went for a wee, and while I was doing the wee, one of them said to him, who's that, Richard? And he said, I don't know. It's some queer. Some queer bender from the sixth form who's always trying to feel me up. Now, that story about Richard Hammond is not true. But I feel that what it tells us about Richard Hammond. That's the main thing, isn't it? Just a bit of fun, you know.